This is probably a very simple and or silly question, but I still don't completely understand deductions. My wife and I are W-2 wage earners. We have no 1099 income. We take the standard deduction every year, rent our house. I took a hospitalist job now that involves a significant commute. 150 miles round trip, 7 out of every 14. That sounds terrible. It's interesting with commutes. Routinely, surveys of the things that make people the least happy, the most unhappy, commuting is always at the top of the list. So if you're looking for some place to spend money to make your life more happy, moving closer to your job is highly likely to do that. So do what you can to keep your commute short. I know it makes it difficult to listen to these long WCI podcasts, but it probably does make your life more happy overall. And I'm only putting one of these out a week, so you only need a 10-minute commute to listen to the whole thing over the course of the week, right? Okay. Yes, since this is my normal commute, I cannot claim miles or gas as a deduction, correct? That's correct. You cannot deduct commuting mileage or commuting expenses in any way. It sounds like based on your podcast, it's only if I were to drive between this hospital and another hospital during my day that I could deduct miles only between the hospitals. That's correct. You can deduct work miles if you're in business, but you're a W-2 earner. You're not in business for yourself, so that's not a business expense. It's probably an unreimbursed employee expense, which you can't even really deduct those anymore. You used to be able to deduct them on Schedule A, but they were subject to a floor that kept anybody from really getting much of a deduction for it. But as an employee, you don't get that deduction anyway. So if you are in that situation, try to get your employer to give you something for those mileage that you're driving, because that's the only way you're getting any money for it. Last question is it an either or for standard deduction or itemizing deductions as a W-2 earner? It's an either or for everybody. It doesn't matter if you're a business owner, if you're an employee, what you are. You either get the standard deduction or you itemize your deductions on Schedule A, one or the other. And with the new higher standard deduction, a lot more people are not itemizing. For a married couple, I think in 2020, I think it's $24,800. So unless your itemized deductions are greater than $24,800, there's no point in itemizing. You might as well just take the standard deduction, keep your life really simple, not have to save all those receipts, etc. But if you are giving more to charity, paying more in taxes, and when I say taxes, I mean up to $10,000 a year in property taxes and state income taxes combined, and charitable contributions, if all that doesn't add up to more than $24,800, you might as well just take the standard deduction. But you can't take both. That's not entirely true. There's a new provision this year. I can't remember all the details of it offhand. I'd have to look it up. But I think you can give like $300 to charity, and you can deduct that in addition to the standard deduction this year. So that's a new thing there. But you can't deduct $15,000 you gave to charity plus the $24,000 standard deduction. You got to weigh them and choose between one and the other. And his final question, since I'm W-2 and not 1099, I can't deduct my scrubs, stethoscope, etc. Correct? That's correct. They're unreimbursed employee expenses. The good news is, your stethoscope and scrubs aren't that big of a tax deduction, so don't beat yourself up about it. Truly, the big tax deductions for doctors are your retirement accounts, right? You want a big tax deduction? Max out that 401k. That's probably your best deduction out there, particularly as an employee. If you're self-employed, and you can qualify for it, the 199A deduction, which is the pass-through business deduction, may be bigger. If you want your questions answered by the White Coat Investor, record your question at whitecoatinvestor.com/YQA or click the link in the description.